All right, today we are diving into one of philosophy's most challenging thinkers, Friedrich Nietzsche. But hey, don't worry, this isn't going to be some dry academic lecture. Instead, we're going to unpack his powerful ideas on suffering and see how they can actually become a practical toolkit for our own lives. So let's dive right in. This is the big question, isn't it? It's the one that sits at the very heart of Nietzsche's work. And honestly, it's a question we all have to face sooner or later. Is all this pain just random? Is it just a meaningless thief of our happiness? Or could it actually be a catalyst for something more, something that makes us stronger? To really get Nietzsche's philosophy, you have to get the man. These weren't ideas he just cooked up in some comfy armchair. Imagine being this brilliant kid, but your days are just clouded by these relentless headaches, and your nights are stolen by insomnia. For him, pain was never just some abstract concept. It was a constant companion, there from the very beginning. And that experience, it only got more intense as he got older. His adult life was basically a crucible, a true trial by fire, where his most powerful ideas were forged not in some quiet library, but right in the heat of real, gut-wrenching anguish. I mean, just think about the sheer weight of it all. He was battling chronic, gnawing physical pain every single day. He dealt with this profound loneliness, often totally isolated in boarding houses with only his thoughts. He had to watch his closest friendships completely shatter. And on top of all that, he faced constant professional rejection. His life's work just dismissed or misunderstood. This wasn't just a bad year for him, this was a constant onslaught. But here's the fascinating part. It's how he responded. I think anyone else might have been completely crushed by all that. But Nietzsche, he saw it differently. For him, all that suffering became a kind of furnace. And yeah, a furnace can destroy things, but it can also purify and strengthen them. For Nietzsche, it was the very thing that made his ideas so sharp, so indestructible. And so this brings us right back to that core paradox in his work. Is the pain we experience in our lives just a total loss? Something that just robs us of happiness? Or, as Nietzsche's own life seems to prove, could it become something else entirely? Could it be a hidden wellspring of real purpose and strength? So how did he do it, right? How did he actually make that shift from just enduring pain to using it? Well, Nietzsche didn't just sit back and take it. He actually created a set of powerful tools, ideas, to actively engage with suffering, to wrestle with it, and ultimately to transform it. Okay, the first tool is his most famous, and maybe his most misunderstood: the will to power. Now let's get one thing straight right away. This has nothing to do with dominating other people. It's all about self-mastery. It's this core human drive to take the raw, messy stuff of your suffering and consciously shape it into something meaningful, to use it for growth instead of letting it shrink you. Here's a brilliant way to picture it. Think of a candle flame. The challenges, the pain in your life, they don't have to be the wind that blows that flame out. Nietzsche's challenge to us is to make that pain the wax, the actual fuel that lets the flame of who you are burn even brighter and stronger than before. His second tool is amor fati. It literally translates to a love of one's fate. And this is a really radical idea. It's the practice of looking at your entire life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the triumphs, the scars, and accepting all of it. Not just putting up with it, but loving it. Seeing every single piece as necessary for you to become who you are. To really get a feel for what amor fati is, just imagine someone standing on a cliff as a huge storm rolls in. But instead of running for cover, they just stand there, arms open, saying yes to the wind, yes to the rain. See, that's not weakness. It's this incredibly courageous act of rebellion against bitterness and wishing things were different. So what this all boils down to is a choice. It's a choice that Nietzsche lays out for us perfectly right here. On one hand, we can let our suffering shape us. We can let it sour into resentment, bitterness, and that empty feeling that nothing matters. Or we can choose to shape it. We can transform that very same energy into purpose, into growth, and into what he famously called self-overcoming. That choice, how we respond, that's where our real power lies. Okay, so this all sounds incredibly profound, but what does it actually look like in our modern, everyday lives? How do we take this stuff and actually apply it? Let's bring this down to earth. Nietzsche had this great image of the person dealing with their suffering as a kind of solitary craftsman. Think about it. A craftsman doesn't just stare at a block of wood. They work with it. They measure it, they chisel it, they turn its so-called imperfections into character. In that same way, he's calling us to actively work with our pain, to distill it into wisdom, the kind of wisdom that rings true because it was earned the hard way. So, with that craftsman idea in mind, here are 4 concrete things we can do. First, reframe your challenges. Journaling isn't just venting, it's a workshop where you can practice amor fati and find the necessity in your struggles. 2, embrace discomfort. Intentionally lean into small, healthy challenges to train your will, kind of like a muscle. 3, cultivate solitude. Use quiet time not for lonely isolation, but as a space for deep, honest reflection. And 4, and this is a big one, seek community. Nietzsche warned us about the kind of pride that makes us think we have to carry it all alone. Sharing our burdens is the cure for that. Now, we have to be really, really clear about something here. This philosophy can be twisted pretty easily. Nietzsche is not telling us to romanticize pain or go looking for misery or to justify being cruel to ourselves or to other people. The whole point is to find humane ways to transform the hardship that life inevitably throws at us, not to go out and create more of it. We're supposed to be mindful craftsmen, not martyrs. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just take a moment to reflect. We've kind of walked with Nietzsche through the darkness and into the light, and we've seen how his own pain was never really erased, but it was transfigured. Ultimately, the takeaway here isn't some magic trick for a pain-free life. I mean, that just doesn't exist. The real goal, the true challenge Nietzsche gives us, is to learn how to meet our suffering with courage and with creativity, to trust that there is some quiet wisdom shimmering just beneath the surface of the ache, if we're willing to look for it. And so, the question he really leaves us with is a deeply personal one. If suffering is a given, and if our response to it is our greatest creative power, then the only thing left to ask is this: how will you author your story?